Welcome to the Crimson Engine. My name is 𝙁𝙁𝙇. This is feature film BTS #1. There is going to be many of these over the next, say, 12 months. So I wanted to start the first one with some housekeeping and basically just introducing the project, letting you guys know how things are going to go down, what the timeline's going to be, what we're trying to attempt. So in my intro last time, I announced I didn't really say what we were doing. It is a feature-length international financial thriller called The Devil's Fortune. I wrote it in 2014, I want to say. So it's my script. I'm directing it. I'm also producing it with two other people, two other very seasoned professional producers who are going to be able to, take up that logistical and financial duty while I focus on the creative aspect of the film. We have scheduled the film, but I'm sure that will change. The script is still changing as we get some locations and don't get other locations. I'll get into that as well. But schedule-wise, we're probably going to do what a lot of independent sub-$1 million features do, which is 3 6-day weeks. So you have 18 shoot days. Now, unless you want to do company moves, meaning you shoot somewhere in the morning, have lunch, move everything, relight and reshoot in the afternoon, that sort of limits you to 18 locations. I think we have 21. So there are some pickups. There may be some pre-shoot MOS days where it's just a skeleton crew or kind of like a B unit that I'll still direct. But we essentially have 18 days, 18 locations, all in and around Los Angeles. I've been working on this film, certainly not full-time, but like at least a day or 2 days a week for 18 months now. There's been lots of different iterations. We were originally at $500,000, $600,000 budget, and we still had the 18 days, but we're going to have bigger names, bigger crew. Right now, we're at about 12 people on set, I think, including actors and myself. So it's very small. It's a very small production. We're going to be shooting with the Canon C200B, possibly the C500 Mark II, if I can get my hands on one, and the footage is good enough to make that upgrade. There are a lot of advantages to full frame. There's also a lot of disadvantages to full frame. There are a lot of cool things that are in the C500 Mark II that the C200 doesn't have, like native timecode, which are important when you're shooting a big project over a long period of time. There are also ways around that if that doesn't happen. Right now we are SAG ultra low budget. So we are $250,000 and under as far as the total amount of money to be spent. That doesn't include my time. That does include deferments and other things. So the cash budget obviously will change as we go because we're still negotiating things, but it will be under $250,000. I think what we'll do is shoot the XF-AVC proxies at the same time as the raw light so that we can edit those proxies and basically make rushes and see how the scenes are coming together as we're shooting. We're bringing the editor on really early so we're able to kind of get the scenes cut as we go and know if the plan we have to get the coverage we want is actually making the scenes that we want. So we're going to do a lot of tests, but there's no substitute for actually seeing the scenes as you go. And then you can always, if you missed a line or something's not quite clear when you see it the next day, you're obviously moving on to a new location, but you may be able to like grab a scene here or grab a line there and fill things in. We are probably 70% of the way through our casting process. We've had 3 casting calls already. We've seen about 150 actors. Now we're in the process of doing callbacks and getting the ones that we really like to come back in and do more of a screen test sort of callback with a different scene from the film. And we've narrowed it down to our kind of top 3 of every role. And now it's just a case of who we like best, who fits better in the ensemble, who works well and has chemistry. I will do a whole episode on casting because I've learned a lot in the last few months we've been doing that. Casting really is the biggest decisions that you make as a director. It is where you really have creative freedom, and the decisions you make in casting obviously affect the entire film as far as tone and style. We are going to go through lenses, displays, diffusion, lights, whole bunch of stuff. I'll record that conversation and make it an episode in itself. I've also tested a whole bunch of lenses and sort of compared them side by side, so I'll do an episode on that. There is a little bit of green screen and some visual effects in the film, mainly for the driving scenes. I've done a few different tests on how I want to do. There are 3 longer driving scenes, which I hope to do all in one day. We did look into renting a process trailer, but the cost is just too much, insurance-wise and for the material, and it doesn't really let you give the actors much direction. So I decided to go green screen at this point. I've done a couple of tests that I'm happy with. It's just a case of, can we replicate those on the day with the cars that we need? Can we get rid of the reflections on the windscreen? It really is this multi-headed hydra of a project where you have all these different factors and all these different decisions to make, all of which affect all the others. And I'm really glad I've had so long to prep and think about this project. I just can't imagine. So some directors get like 6 weeks prep and have to dive in and do this all, in a month or two. Maybe that's something I'll get better at as I go on, or my 4th or 5th or 6th feature. But right now I feel like I'm really glad that I've had the time to put all the thought and just, you always have an instinct of how something should be done, but sometimes you test that instinct and it turns out to be totally wrong. And so it's great to have the time to really focus in, see what it is you want and how you're going to get it, and know that really clearly. So there's a quick little summary of The Devil's Fortune, the path ahead, what I'm going to be sharing here. I am still going to be doing my regular YouTube stuff because there's not enough in this budget to pay the bills. So I'll be doing my regular jobs and still shooting the odd commercial that I'll hopefully share here as well while I'm going through pre-production. Obviously, I'm going to be focused entirely on the film once we're shooting, and then we'll also cover post as well. I'm probably going to grade this film myself with some help from a professional colorist because we don't have the money to do an entire color grade. He'll basically set 1 or 2 scenes, and I'll use my DaVinci Resolve knowledge to apply that look to the other scenes or sort of take that through the entire film. We're also going to talk about distribution, the people we've spoken to, the answers we got, because it's never a good idea to make a whole movie and then go and see if anyone wants it. It's much better practice to put feelers out before you make a film, who's attached, what the genre is, even get a poster, or even if it's a rough poster beforehand, and then see what sales agents and distribution companies and online streaming services think, if it ticks any boxes for them, and give them a chance to give you feedback before you push all your chips forward and make the film. So we'll talk about that. Thanks very much for watching. Again, there'll be one of these pretty regularly for the next few months as we ramp up production. But really look forward to hearing your questions, hearing your comments. There are some links in the description to different things. But right now, I'll just got my fingers crossed and excited to get started. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time.